When it comes to chicken, I'm your guy.
Blinking.
I'll have what Joseph has.
Look, somebody's talking about you.
This is what we call the voice of God.
Popping.
Everybody just gets to focus on you.
Grab me.
Probably not the best thing for an introvert.
I'm asking for you.
Well, I like a good chicken sandwich.
Touch me. Hi, David. Comment.
Oh my God.
Like.
You're actually an identical twin.
Push.
Maybe I'll just ask Julie to talk about what it is to be an identical twin.
Pick me up.
No, you didn't.
Shouting.
Surprise! Jeremiah, just hang on a second. I just got a text.
There's an edit for your new opening, Joseph.
I feel really honored to have been here, man.
But by the way, you've done a masterful job. Seriously.
It was such a joy.
Thanks, Joseph. It's an honor.
Good on you. This was a pleasure.
I mean, you are the prime example of how to pivot in this new environment.
I wish everybody gets an opportunity to interact with Joseph Jaffe and Corona TV.
Who needs Cameo when I've got my own personal Cameo? I mean, you know what? You don't actually need me. Well, look at the Unilever brands. Why would you spoil such a perfect picture with my ugly face? But I was just watching my intro and smiling, and I forgot to put myself on stage. So consider yourselves, this was the first gift that I could give you, which is to see less of me. The real gift, of course, is my guest today. And I'm going to talk about her, and I'm going to talk about Unilever soon enough. And you will really see this as a company that walks the talk big time. But first of all, hello to Joey Dumont, one of our regulars. And of course, it wouldn't be Corona TV without my mother watching. So hi, Ma, and thank you for continuing to support me. The unconditional love that a parent has for a child is unmatched, as you guys no doubt know. All right, so today I'm happy to say, I'm proud to say, is World Octopus Day, right? World Octopus Day. Just look at those stats and enjoy the octopi. But I actually want to tell you something. It's interesting that it's World Octopus Day because I want to tell you about a movie. I want to recommend a movie, and I'm super excited because Esi loves octopi, and I said to her, have you heard about My Octopus Teacher on Netflix? And she said no. So let me tell you a little bit about My Octopus Teacher. It's a 2020 Netflix original documentary. It was directed by Pippa Ehrlich and James Reed. It stars Craig Foster, who also produced the film. Now, the film shows how in 2010, Foster began free diving in a cold underwater kelp forest at the tip of South Africa. He started to film his experiences, and in time, a curious young octopus captured his attention. By visiting her den and tracking her movements every day for months, he won the animal's trust. And in the film, Foster describes the impact on his life of his relationship with the octopus, and also how it even impacted the relationship with his son. What an amazing original idea. And Esi, you have to watch it and then tell me what you think. And I hope you like it. All right, so let's just quickly do birthdays. Mr. Jeff Rawls, the author of Fans, Friends, Followers, Anush Prabhu. Sorry, Anush. I used to work with him back in the day. Lauren Kaplan, Andy Hunter, happy birthday to you guys. And of course, people on LinkedIn as well. Michele Caniato, Joanna Walker, who else is there? Christopher Stark, Yanis Serafidis. Cack up my tongue today. Just happy birthday. And of course, Graham Codrington, who's been on the show as well, futurist thought leader back in South Africa. Well, as you know, it is ANA Masters of Marketing, this a promotion. It's actually not the week. The week begins the week of October 21st, 23rd. 23 of the best CMOs. But truthfully, and I'm fine to tell you this, I got the best 8. There's no question I got the best 8. And you're certainly going to see that today. There is absolutely no question. The conversations that we've had have just been tremendous. Whether it was Ivan Pollard or Frank Cooper or Manos Spanos or Norm de Greve, it's just been inspirational. And today I get to sit down with Esi Bracey, and I will tell you all about her and some of the incredible work that she's doing at Unilever. She's the COO and EVP of Beauty and Personal Care in the company, and more on her very soon. As you're seeing at the bottom of your screen, you can actually win a complimentary pass to Masters of Marketing. And there are a few ways you can do it. You can subscribe to the show. Why wouldn't you? bit.ly/CoronaTV subscribe. You can subscribe to the show's newsletter by texting the word CoronaTV to 66866 or via my website, josephjaffe.com/subscribe. And I'm here to announce the first 4 winners: Mr. Joey Dumont, who's watching, Mr. Tom Morris, who's watching, Vincent Mallet, who used to be my client at IBM, and Bethany Mach. I hope I pronounced that as well. So we will be sending you a comp each to this incredible conference. Well, now we get to the seated soliloquy. And the seated soliloquy today, of course, is always, as you know, connected in some way, shape, or form to my guest, to the brand, to the company that they represent. And today's one is called Hero. And as you know, there's a saying that says timing is everything. Yesterday was actually Inner Beauty Day. And who better to represent this perfect, powerful truth than Esi Bracey, who represents Unilever and its Dove brand, amongst others. Being a force for change and a force for good is infectious. And as you'll see today, Dove's campaign for real beauty was not really a campaign at all, at least not in traditional terms. It had a start date, but it doesn't have an end date. This is a lifelong campaign and a lifelong endeavor. If you think about it, the phrase, my life's work, shouldn't just apply to a person. It can just as easily apply to a brand or even an entire company. Authenticity is a subject that I've written on for 20 years now. And when it comes to corporations trying to humanize their brands, I simply tell them, you can't fake authenticity. Yesterday, on an incredible after show, and you can find it at CoronaTV.show, CVS Health CMO Norm de Greve introduced an intriguing idea of brands as religion. Well, today I'd like you to consider another concept, brands as heroes. The world needs heroes, now more than ever. The world needs someone or something to step in and save the day, save the planet, SOS, save our souls. Our bruised and battered planet needs healing. Our confidence is in dire need of a booster shot. Our tribes are fractured. We are at war with each other. We are at war with ourselves. There is an emptiness, a vacuum, a darkness, and it's growing, but it doesn't have to. This is not the quote that Esi will have to identify later, but it's worth mentioning now. You cannot get through a single day without having an impact on the world around you. What you do makes a difference, and you have to decide what kind of difference you want to make. And that was said by Jane Goodall. So I ask you, can brands fill this void? Can brands cross the chasm? Can brands light and lead the way? Well, don't be silly. They already are. Just look around you. Just look to a company like Unilever to show you the way. And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce my guest, and I'll enlarge that image so you can see her, not me. Esi Bracey is a transformational business executive with over 28 years of experience in general management, brand building, and marketing leadership. She's got a track record of success in creating, accelerating, and turning around business results across branded product categories, sectors, and geographies through marketing and operational excellence. I love those two, the two partners in crime, marketing and operational excellence. Esi currently leads the $5 billion beauty and personal care portfolio for Unilever North America, which includes responsibility for the hair, skin cleansing, skincare, and deodorant businesses with iconic brands like Dove, Tresemme, Vaseline, degree, and axe. Wow, the list is quite impressive. She's been recognized with numerous awards, including Ad Color Legend Award, B Powerful Woman in Business, Ebony Power 100, BET Butterfly Award, Cosmetics Executive Woman Achievers Awards, Advertising Age Woman to Watch, Woman Wear Daily Market of the Year, and the list just goes on, and deservedly so. A native of Chicago, Esi graduated from Dartmouth in Hanover, New Hampshire, with a Bachelor of Arts in Engineering Sciences. She's married with 2 children, a 14-year-old daughter, Anura, and 10-year-old son, Benoit. I think I pronounced that correctly. And I think we're going to be talking about school today. She currently lives with her family in New York City. And now I get to bring her onto the show. Welcome, Esi.
Hello. Hi, Joseph. How incredible. I'm so moved by your opening comments.
Oh, thank you. Well, it was inspired by you, so it was easy.
The whole idea of a brand's life work and your reframing of Dove, Campaign for Real Beauty, and it is exactly that. So thank you for that. I already start super inspired. So glad to be here with you.
Yeah, you know what? I have to tell you, even before I started doing Corona TV and some of these interviews, you almost feel that skepticism sometimes, or the cynicism. If you don't work hard enough to find the light in your life, it has a way, the darkness of finding you. And I've just been so inspired lately because there are so many companies doing great work, and there's so many people doing great work. And sometimes we just don't have the outlet or the channel. And that's what I hope the show has become, a way to, not even, it's a humble brag, but it's inspiring because people watching can actually take these lessons and learnings and implement them themselves.
Love it. Thank you.
All right. So, the show, it gets serious, it gets intense, but at the same time, we have a bit of fun. And I had to beat it out a few people at Unilever, but I finally, I'm proud to say, found out some fun facts about you. So to get to know the real Esi, this is what I found out about you. First of all, I found out that your real name is Johari. And let me just see if I did my homework, because here at Corona TV, we have a crack squad of about 1,000 researchers. So I'm hoping that I did my research correctly. What I actually found out is that Johari is a name that is Swahili in origin, and it means jewel, gem, or something of value. Am I correct?
That's absolutely right. What incredible research.
I know, we see big budgets here at Corona TV. But so I didn't know that. So where does Esi come from then, if not Johari?
I have a mouthful of a name. I'm Esi Johari Eggleston Bracey. I was born Esi Johari. Esi means little girl born on Sunday. It's quite common in the Ga language. And Johari, I was always taught, means jewel in Swahili, and it's exactly what you've shown. And so my name means kind of beautiful jewel born on Sunday in combination. And my mother wanted to, I was born in 1970, so you can guess my age. And in that time, my parents wanted to make sure, kind of being product of the civil rights movement, that we had names of meaning that had origin, and thought it was very important that we could understand our African origin and not just the origin of our beginning in this country as slaves. And so she wanted my brother and I to have names of meaning, but that were easy enough to pronounce, which is why Esi. Easy to say if you don't read it. And so that's how I got my name. And it speaks to, my parents were always activists in some way. So that's how I got my name. And then when I got married, of course, my maiden name is Eggleston, and then my husband's name is Bracey. And then having kids, we wanted our kids to share a last name. So I'm Esi Johari Eggleston Bracey. And the last bit of it is my family all calls me Johari. And so when I talk to myself, as we often do, I still think of myself as Johari. I didn't become Esi until I started into school, and it was easier to pronounce. One of the teachers I had, I believe in first or second grade, couldn't say Johari. And I said, that's okay. You can call me Esi. And then school becomes work and work becomes life. So that's the interesting fact that really, truly I'm Johari.
Well, whilst, you know, Esi Bracey rolls off the tongue, I've already updated your name to Esi Johari Eggleston Bracey. So as long as I don't run out of characters, I will continue to represent each part of you that makes you who you are.
That's a first in a context. I've never seen that.
Well, I'm glad to have done something for the first time. All right, so something else that I found out about you is that you are very much into astrology. And I only have one question to ask you, which is what the hell are the stars telling us? Did the stars warn us about 2020? And please tell me there's something good in those stars to show us that there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
I wish I could tell you that. So really, it really was past tense. When I was a kid, mostly a teenager, I was passionate about astrology. And it's interesting, I studied engineering in school. So my brain is very analytical and scientific, but I'm really curious. So I like sociology and anthropology, and astrology is like a science. So you'd be surprised when you figure out your chart based on your birthday, your birth year. It's really complex. And I just loved it. And I was thirsty for it. And so I would look at the stars and look at the day and look at my moon and my Mercury and my Venus and my Mars and how it related to people in my life. I was like very into astrology. And I lost it over time, but I ran into someone interesting in a business context that was also passionate about astrology. And it really has me thinking about studying it again to see if I can explain this madness that we're living through now.
I mean, please, if you find out something, will you tell me? Because you know, I learned a lot about it actually. You know, in terms of moon rising, and you realize how. By the way, I'm also born in 1970, so you can tell how old I am. I was planning on celebrating my 50th in South Africa with my family. I now will be probably celebrating it on Zoom, you know, drinking probably water because it's a different version of Corona cocktails today. Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm hopeful as long as there are brands and initiatives that people like yourselves are working on, that we can get through this together, because I'm pretty sure that it's not going to help. The help is not going to come from above, and it's not going to come from government. It may as well come from individuals, from citizens, from activists, and from brands. It's as simple as that.
It's another connection, because I was supposed to celebrate my 50th in Africa as well, which I missed. Another unfortunate COVID casualty in Seychelles, which is my happy place. So not in South Africa, but we would have had in common. So 50 plus 1. Let's hope.
Yeah. So we'll celebrate it even bigger, larger than life next year, I hope. So Esi, there are a few things to discuss, and I want to make sure that we have a good chunk of time to talk about just some of the incredible work that the brands are doing, but also at a corporate level. You know, one of the amazing lessons or insights that's come out of the show is this is actually a time where scale really counts and scale matters. And when companies have the scale to be able to affect the change, incredible things are happening. So there were 3 things you wanted to discuss. I know there was the challenge of schooling. We'll get to business impact, but why don't we talk a little bit about the middle one, which was the elections, and specifically your thoughts on not only what we can do as citizens, but what companies can do and what you are doing to, you know, fight for something that we would have taken for granted, which is free and fair elections.
You know, yeah, this is a consequential election, and it's super important for everyone's voice to be heard in this election. We've never experienced a time that we have like now. In 2020, what a year. Can you remember December 31st of 2019 when we were all anticipating the turn of the decade with such anticipation and hope? And this is the year 2020. So when I think about the election, and it was the reflection on what's on my mind, the election is on my mind. You know, it's 26 days away. And it's so important for America to speak up, nonpartisan, when I say on my mind, to speak up. And so I'm very thrown to how we use business for good. And that is the topic of, ANA, a force for good. And one of the areas, and one of the things I admire about Unilever and why I chose to join Unilever is it truly does believe the purpose of business is to do good in the world. So back to the election, what we're really trying to do is make sure there is fair and safe access to voting, free of voter suppression, free of misinformation, because some of the tactics that have gone on to create confusion make us opt out of voting. And so we've had a Vote Safe 2020 initiative across Unilever. We've executed that in a number of ways. We're working with When We All Vote. I'm the Vote initiative to make sure all walks of life, every corner of life, from the LGBTQ community to 100 Black HBCUs, historically Black colleges and universities, to middle America, to the coast of America, to make sure people can text, I'm the Vote, go to whenweallvote.com and get information, go to unilever.com and learn where and how can I vote safely. We're asking everyone to vote early, of course. If you choose to mail in vote, if you choose to vote in person, if you are located to polling places that you can vote early, helping you find out where those are. So in short, to make a long story short, really bringing the leverage of Unilever to create access to fair and safe voting through a range of initiatives across our businesses and brands.
Jeffrey Hazlett was on the show a couple weeks back, and he said this very succinct phrase, which really stuck with me. He said, hey, brands, corporations, even people, he said, pick a side. Pick a side. I don't care what side it is, but pick a side. And I think that there are two parts to what you said that are so poignant. One is this idea of nonpartisan. The fact that we even have to say that is in of itself kind of bizarre, right? That we have to say, remind people that actually this gift, I became a citizen in 2008. The ultimate gift of being a citizen is the right to vote. And it's not something that can ever be taken for granted. But the fact that we have to fight for it, and we do need to fight for it, and even have to say, by the way, just a reminder, this is nonpartisan. It demonstrates how far maybe we've strayed. And I guess if there's a follow-up question there for you is I'm sure I know the answer, but I'm still going to ask it to you, which is when a company picks a side, Nike and Colin Kaepernick, whatever the case may be, there's always the fear of backlash or the fear of alienating audiences. Does that even factor into Unilever's thought process, or is that just almost a distraction because you know that you're doing the right thing?
Yeah, there's a lot that you asked there. What we try to do is think about how we can be of service and how we can help. It's not about picking a side or one side against the other. We understand who our constituents are and what help is needed. Oftentimes where we see help is needed is the most underserved and most vulnerable communities. So we're thrown to help in those spaces, and certainly, I am as well. But with that, it's important to have a point of view. And I think that's what's changed in this space of marketing and brand building. We're not trying to play it safe and be vanilla. Why I say nonpartisan is because we really do believe the democracy is about having everyone's vote count. And so we want people to have access to voting, not underserved populations suppressed, overserved populations suppressed. We want everyone to participate in this democracy. So this is the piece on voting is not about picking a side. It's about picking America so that we can really safely feel confident in the process. Now, there are other places when you talk about picking a side, we pick championing for underserved populations. Some of the work, and we can talk about this, that we've done through Dove and through the United for America work. We're committed to essential organizations on the front line and other vulnerable populations that tend to be like women who are underserved in this recession, the she session. Disproportionately, the industries that have been impacted are areas of female labor like hospitality. We see women of color and small businesses proportionally impacted. So we're thrown to help there because of the she session. We see educational inequity impacted. We started education, so my brain, my kids are schooling from home while I'm working from home. And what about people who don't have access to laptops and technology, or if they do, multiple kids in the home and there's only one? And so that's an area with United for America that we are thrown to as a company of Unilever to help, because they're vulnerable communities. And then today, we forget we're in this developed nation, but there are people who do not have access to food and essential supplies and services. And what do we do at Unilever? We sell food and essential beauty and personal care products. So we can help and we can make a difference. So your question was about picking a side. We're about championing and helping where we see opportunities for people. And so voting is one, to have fair access, and we see underserved populations, areas that we can help. And we're doing that with a range of initiatives. I just spoke to United for America. There are many others across the brands as well.
I was just blown away. And by the way, it could just be that the side we pick is the right side of history, the light side. But I think that was beautiful what you said. And when I was doing a little bit of research and talking to some of the people on your team, this initiative, right, which is United for America initiative, is talking about responding to 3 challenges in terms of rebuilding communities. I think you touched on the one. I'd never heard of it articulated as a she session, but I wonder if you could talk a little bit about these 3 particular challenges, because they need to be spoken about.
Yeah, the New York Times actually coined this. They did a really provocative article. I think it was back in March, maybe even April. And it was, as I was talking earlier, wow, how these times have had an impact. If we think about business that have been closed down and impacted, a lot of retail, if you think about fashion and beauty apparel, you think about the specialty beauty shops of the world, you think about hospitality, you think about so many industries that have been impacted, where there are people at scale that are not essential workers, that are no longer able to work. You think about beauty salons, and then you think about who those places disproportionately employ. They employ women, and they employ often people of color. So it's coined a she session because of the demographic that is uniquely impacted. This article also said it will be the first time that women's employment did not grow because of the impact of the recession. So that's a she session. So our efforts are all about creating opportunity and investment in women. So we have a number of programs related to that. That's the first one, right? And so the other areas that you asked about, the other is the education gap. Very similar, as I was talking about the barriers created by schooling from home. There's already an education gap pre-COVID. Imagine post-COVID. If you have financial means, you can invest in tutoring and other resources. And again, you've got the technology to engage in schooling. You have the support, but we don't have that. So that's another area that we've invested in. And then third, as I mentioned, is even though we are a developed country, there are basics that people don't have access to. We still have a high degree of people experiencing homelessness, people that don't have food, people that don't have shelter, and other essential products. And those are areas that we can help. What we've done, this is like a pledge. Again, to your point, I was inspired by what is a brand's or business's lifelong work. Unilever's is to make sustainable living commonplace. And in that, I think about that for America, it is to bring our resources to help and support America. So we did one effort for United for America, where we partner with a range of organizations to help address these challenges. But in this area, we're actually going into cities and communities that have been the most impacted and partnering with retailers. So, United for Minneapolis, as we go down to the next level and address these three issues. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I mean, it's Jan, who's one of our regulars. I call him our one of our regular copywriters. He said, "Brand, stand and be our cool drink of water for these parched pandemic souls." While you were talking, I was thinking about the movie Schindler's List, and I was thinking about that very poignant scene when Oskar Schindler, he looks at his band, as his ring or wedding band, and he realizes that band, if he'd pawned that or sold that or given that away, he might have saved one extra life. And I think maybe the responsibility sometimes, it almost feels too big a burden for a mortal, for a human being to have to bear, to go out and correct all of these imbalances and injustices. How do you find the balance, which is with everything you're doing? Does it get too much sometimes, or do you just have a different point of view in terms of just, whatever I did yesterday, I can do better today, I can do better tomorrow?
Yeah, my mindset is always, how can I help? How can we help? And in the pandemic, there's so much need. And in that, there's such clear opportunities to help. So I'm motivated by the action. Now, I'm very so I'm going to give some broader context. In the world of marketing, we often think about simply how I can grow my brand. I believe, and I ask the question, how can I be of help and service? And in that, I earn the growth of my brand and business. So I am really motivated by the do and the action. And that gives me energy. So it doesn't feel exhausting because I can see the impact of that change. So I run the beauty and personal care business. I will leave that for North America. That's United States and Canada. And the ambition is to be the beauty company that has the most impact on people, communities, and the planet. And we call that people and planet positive. And so that's what I look at. Like, where is the need? So with United for America, that's a corporate initiative where we're taking all of our brands across beauty, across our home care business, and across food, saying, how can we help? And then there's similar efforts, not similar, there are a number of efforts, I would say, in my beauty business on how we can help. So if I look at the pandemic, and again, I'll take your lead in when you talk about these, like, what motivates me? Help. So in March, I remember looking at the pandemic before we started working from home. So the world is about to change. Our brands and our products are essential. We have got to help. And in that, I chartered a small team of 2 or 3 people to look at how can we help. What came out of that, like many did in America, we launched from scratch. We had our first product in 3 weeks, a hand sanitizer. We launched Suave liquid hand sanitizer. Not how do I grow my business, but how can we help? People can find product. We knew the products that were out there were not always known, or brands. You didn't know where they were coming from. And so we said, Suave's a trusted brand. It's an accessible price point. We know our retailers need product. How can we help? And we created a business out of help. Something else, on Dove, our life's work is to, as you said, it is to campaign for real beauty. And we looked and had a heavy heart for the amazing essential workers on the front line in the beginning of the crisis, taking care of us all. And we saw beauty in their work. In some cases, 20 hours of work a day, and the badge that they carried from the PPE that they were wearing in their mask. And we said, how can we help? And we knew there was a shortage of PPE. So we made a pledge to invest in PPE with direct relief. And in that also celebrated these healthcare workers for their courage. And we led an initiative, Courage is Beautiful, as a part of that $2 million donation.
Well, I have that unbelievable piece of video. I'm going to show it now. I actually, when I watched it earlier, I was quite emotional, and I was emotional for many reasons. One is because this is exactly what I would expect from Dove, and it's coming from, it's coming from an old friend. It's coming from someone that you trust. It's coming from someone that has walked their talk, that has demonstrated their integrity, their commitment, but also I just felt for these essential workers and what they've had to go through, and I don't think anyone has any idea what that. And I have to say, and this as well as anyone, AC, that all of these brands, we're all in this together. We've got your back during these uncertain times. It all seemed like it was a cut and paste, and Dove was just in a different place, in a very special place.
And what I see is gratitude. I mean, what I see are the men and women on the front line sacrificing their lives. And I'm so moved by that when I see that, and wanting to help them, honor them and help them, right? Be protected. And there is a shortage of PPE. And, it's like we've got to flash back to that moment, because now we're living with this crisis. And there's just so much need around, Joseph. Another brand in my portfolio is Shea Moisture. And, Shea Moisture has, since its inception, been committed to what we call overserve the underserved. And that has been, Black and brown consumers, and has been through hair and through skin, but also partnered in this effort called the New Voices Fund, which was actually $100 million fund to invest in women of color entrepreneurs, because, the community prospers when women prosper, because the women in the community provide for and establish for the family. And what we also saw through these times, even with that fund, that many of these businesses were challenged and going out of business. So we supplemented the fund, and we did the Shea Fund, which was a relief fund for businesses to give grants to help. We've through the racial equity crisis, the next pandemic, prompted from George Floyd's horrible violent death. Shea Moisture also founded, the Social Justice Coalition, and invested in social activists. So many people want to make a change, want to help, and they just need a little money. And so we've invested in them. There's just so many things that I could talk about. This is answering your question. Does it feel like overwhelming? And it's like the opposite to me. It's like, I see the need. I see how we can help. And I see that it matters, and it makes me even more motivated. It makes me even more motivated. The work we've done with the CARE Act. It's unbelievable. CARE stands for Creating a Respectful Open World for Natural Hair. And back in 2018, we looked and said, who knew that today in America it is legal for a school or any organization to deny access to that organization, employment, or matriculation into school because of a textured natural hairstyle, if it's locks or twist or Bantu knots or other styles. And most people don't realize that it's legal against the grooming policies. And Dove and its commitment to beauty inclusivity, again, the Campaign for Real Beauty, that's not okay. And, we made a call to action to legislative officials, and formed the Crown Coalition with the support of the National Urban League and the Color of Change and Western Center on Law and Poverty, because Senator Holly Mitchell from California created and carried something called the CROWN Act. And so she did that in February of 2019 when we founded the Crown Coalition. And July 3rd of 2019, she had the first CROWN Act legislation passed. And so now we have 7 states who have passed legislation. It just passed a few weeks ago in the United States House of Representatives. And I thought, wow, Doug co-founded that because we said, we can change this with the help of partners. So I'm incredibly motivated by the opportunity we have to make the difference and that we can do it. And we've been doing that.
I was so grateful that you shared that information about the CROWN Act, because it's just not something that was on my radar. It wasn't something I was aware of. And now that it is, it just it's enlightening. It opens up awareness. And I was thinking, if you respect someone based on any part of their body that defines who they are, it all bubbles up. It's a place to start. It's a perfect place to start, and it doesn't stop there. And as you said, who knew?
Who knew? We started learning when we would see cases that were publicized in the media. There's a young woman named Faith Finity who is a 6th grader in New Orleans who was all dressed up for the first day of school in her beautiful braids, and they sent her to the principal's office and said, "You're expelled. Go home. You need to take that out." And then many of us remember, who are in the New York area, a wrestler named Andrew Johnson, who was forced to forfeit a wrestling match or cut his locks and was humiliated. We saw it. So you can see the impact on confidence and on self-esteem. And you can imagine the impact on economic empowerment, even if you can't have access to a job. So awareness of the issue is half of it. And so much of America, not just Black America, say it's not okay. And we have a petition, the CoronaUnCocktails.com. If anyone's interested in signing the petition, you can go to thecoronaUnCocktails.com. Our original ambition was 10,000 signatures. I said, this is such an issue. We should be able to get 100,000 signatures. And they said, no, that doesn't happen, AC, 100,000 signatures. And guess how many signatures we have today? 200,000 signatures. This is America saying, this is broadly America saying, of course, we should have the CROWN Act. Okay, so we can make a difference, have our voices back to the voting. Let's be heard, and we can make change. So it's 7 states out of 43, right? So we still have a way to go. So signing the petition really helps. And, I'm confident with support that we'll get there, and we won't stop until hair discrimination is ended nationwide.
I'm going to go add my signature. I can multitask quite a bit while I'm doing the show with camera angles and banners and updating your name, but I cannot sign the petition while I'm doing it. But I promise you, I will sign the petition. You can be assured of that. In the soliloquy, I quoted Jane Goodall, and one of the things I do on Corona TV is I always come up with a quote, and then I try and see whether my guests can guess who said this. This one I can tell you I don't think you're going to guess, but still I thought it was a good one. Some people arrive and make such a beautiful impact on your life. You can barely remember what life was like without them. I just absolutely loved that. And I thought to myself, this is the role for brands. This could be the role for brands to be able to it's not just I use it because my grandmother or my grandfather used it. It's because of the difference it made in my life that transcended the transactional, the consumption, that became truly community driven. Now,
mind if I pull out my phone and take a photo? I love this quote. I don't know who said it, but it is beautiful and again inspiring. Do you mind?
Of course.
Thank you for that.
So this was Anna Taylor, and I honestly I was doing I think it's Anna Taylor. It was hard to determine author of Drustin the Wanderer. We've got a philosopher who will probably be on our Zoom after show. He probably will tell us about the novel based on the legend of Tristan and Isolde and Iliad, and I don't know, he's, and Gilgamesh and whatever the case may be. But I thought it was a beautiful quote, and it was, again, something that was inspired by all the work that you've been doing. I want to tell you a few things that just struck me, to almost synthesize what you were saying. First of all, I don't think I think of Unilever as a consumer packaged goods company anymore. Yesterday, the quote, I actually did a little mischievous thing. I quoted myself. I said, it's from my book, and it says, when purpose meets activism meets action, you have corporate citizenship. But my guest, Norm, I said, who do you think said that? And he said, Paul Pullman. And his name has come up multiple times. The leadership in the company to say, you know what? Yeah, we've got those products as well, and we've got these things in boxes, and they clean and they taste good. Hopefully not at the same time, but there's something bigger. And so I just want to almost kind of repeat what you said. You said the goal is to earn growth, not command it. It's like respect, and that's what I jotted down. Growth, business growth, brand growth. It's like respect. You don't deserve it. You don't command it. You earn it. And then the other thing you said I thought was so beautiful. You said we created a business out of help, which actually says if you do the right thing for the right reasons, surely good things will result. So I just wanted to repeat back to you, because I was just, I had to jot those down. Now we're going to move in a few minutes into the ANA segment. That's when we do a little bit of housekeeping and we create a nice ANA background, and we put up things like that, or like that, or like that, and we remind people what an incredible event this is going to be. To be able to hear from people like yourself. But before we do that and go into the final segment, we were talking about Dove, and I chose 4 videos, but I wonder if maybe you want to talk about one of the more recent ones. Well, there are so many, right? There's Project Show Us, there's America the Beautiful. I would just love to give Dove a little bit more TV time, Corona TV time, and then we'll move into the ANA slot.
Yeah, thank you for that. You introduced it well, and I am going to use your language from now on. Dove's life's work has been campaigning for real beauty, and it truly is making sure each and every individual has a positive experience with beauty and that it's universally accessible. And in that, it started the Campaign for Real Beauty in 2004, but that was one execution of it. And we continue to look through the work we do and say, is it enough? And we say, no, it's not enough, because there's more of a need. And so we first campaigned for beauty inclusivity, for broader images, more realistic real women. We don't do any retouching. And we pioneered and did work there in 2017 with the pledge not to retouch. You've mentioned Project Show Us, which is we now have the largest database of real beauty images by women in partnership with Getty Images through Project Show Us. So, one of the issues in perpetuating harmful beauty stereotypes is access to imagery. So we've helped provide that, and we did that in 2018 and extended into 2019. And in terms of racial equity and racial justice, we've also taken a stance that America will not be beautiful until it's beautiful for all of America. And we highlight people on the front line, and in that highlighting committed a pledge to what we call CROWN 2.0, which is a $5 million pledge over 5 years to our CROWN Coalition supporters to help fight and end racism. And we have 70 supporters in the CROWN Coalition. And I mentioned CROWN stands for Creating a Respectful Open World for natural hair. We've expanded that in to be no racism, creating a respectful and open world with no racism. And so that was with the America Will Not Be Beautiful Until It's Beautiful for Everyone. So if you have that film, it's worth having a look.
I do. I'll show that clip.
Oh, beautiful, for heroes proved in liberating strife. America, you know, God done shed his grace on thee from sea to shining sea. Oh, Lord, thank you, Jesus.
Why have you given me goosebumps for 50 minutes?
But, you know, we just keep asking ourselves, what more can we do? We know hair discrimination is but one form of racism. And we know that it is systemic. The legislation helps from the hair front. We believe there's more we can do. And so, you know, that's where we made the pledge, and we're wanted to showcase the pledge with the work, the people on the front lines and the impact, the children, you know, I won't say protesting, but the children wanting a more inclusive world that values and respects. So, you know, Dove will continue its life's work, which is a nice segue to the ANA, actually.
Exactly. And, you know, I'll tell you, I've been coming to ANA events myself. I spoke at the event last year. I've sat in the audience many times and seen CMOs, you know, present their reels and demonstrate almost, you know, what they were doing, but it never felt like this was who we this is who we were, this is who we are, this is what we believe in, you know, this is what we, you know, there's that old saying that says, you know, if you don't stand for anything, you'll fall for everything. It feels like times are different right now. For the first time, it feels like everyone is united, and there are certain leaders. And Unilever is, I mean, I know it's a bit punny to say, but Unilever is a unileader, big time. And so this is the final part where we tell people out there that you're going to be keynoting on Thursday, October 22nd at 11:37 a.m. The times are so specific. I know. So don't be late. And your keynote is called Commit to Care Now. And I wonder if you could give us a little sneak preview about the speech.
Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity to do so. This is an issue that is... I'll be talking about an issue that is really, I think, important to society. It's important to me as a mother and as a wife and as a daughter. And it's important to Unilever and our brand Dove Men Plus Care. We see the images that are perpetuated in society are actually harmful, and they impact lives. If you think about George Floyd and the hundreds of other unnecessary deaths, because of perceptions that people have about Black men. And we as an industry can do something about it. We just have to commit to care. And CARE stands for Care About Racial Equity. And Dove Men Plus Care has announced a partnership with the National Basketball Players Association and an initiative called Commit to Care to help end these harmful stereotypes. We will be telling the caring stories of Black men. You know, we see these stereotypes, but we know the reality of Black men is that they're fathers, brothers, community leaders, and more. And we want the world to see the stories. And so, you know, you think about the athletes on the court, but what are they like outside of the court? And what are the issues that care? And we've seen what's happened in the bubble and what the players have been standing up for. And we're partnering together to tell those stories. And that's, I'll be talking more about that. And so Commit to Care Now .com has our pledge. We're asking for people to sign the pledge, but importantly, we want the industry to help change the stereotypes. And I'll be talking about a few other call to actions to the industry to help us, because this is something DovMen plus CARE can't do alone, right? The stereotypes that are perpetuated, we as an industry can really make a difference.
Well, I hope I spelled that correctly, but Commit to Care Now is one of the URLs. The Crown Act is another URL. As you said, we can't do this alone, but I have a feeling that the more people that continue to hear you talk and see the work in action, the more will join, maybe not the side, but just join and champion for what is right. And so for those of you that want to register for the conference, well, you can pay for it, and why wouldn't you? Because the price is insanely, for what you're going to get and what you're going to pay, and I don't get anything from it. I'm just telling you, but you can win it as well by just subscribing to my show. And as I say to people, and you can always unsubscribe as well, but you definitely want to hear Esi. And if you want to actually talk to her or interact with her, we're going to go and hang out in the Zoom after show right now. I think I got everything. Esi, I always feel that the last word should be my guests. But I just want to thank you, because I feel inspired, and I feel if this show was about or is about hope, positivity, and optimism, I feel all three right now.
Oh, thank you for the opportunity, Joseph. My final words and thoughts are really, we can make a difference. And it's looking at our commitments and our platforms and resources to figure out how we can make that difference. And I really do believe brands can make that difference. So let's work together to realize that difference we can all make.
Amen. And for those of you, come join us at the Zoom after show. And tomorrow I will be back with episode 3 of Corona Community, where our Zoom after show regulars are mixed in with some of my previous guests. We'll have 10 people on screen at the same time. Each person has 5 minutes to talk about whatever is on their mind, and then we discuss, and hope you will join us then. Thank you, AC, and I will see you guys tomorrow.
Very cool. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you for watching Corona TV with your host, multiple author and global keynote speaker, Joseph Jaffe. Corona TV is the show about hope, positivity, optimism, and if there's time left over, a little bit of marketing. The after show on Zoom starts right now at bit.ly/Corona TV After Show. If you like the show, tell a friend or two. Please subscribe to the show at CoronaTV.show. And if you want to get inside news, previews of upcoming guests, and much more, text Corona TV to 66866 or visit josephjaffe.com/subscribe to sign up for the show's newsletter.
And despite the best ministrations of your wife, you still look ugly.